The name of this story is I found a locked room in my new house, and now I can't sleep. Moving into a new house is supposed to be exciting, right? A fresh start, new surroundings, the chance to make a place truly your own. That's what I thought when I finally bought my first home. It's a small, old house in a quiet neighborhood, built sometime in the early 1900s. I liked the character it had, the creaky wooden floors and the slightly uneven walls, but there was one thing I didn't expect: the locked room. When I first toured the house, I noticed the door at the end of the hall on the second floor. It looked just like the other bedroom doors, plain, white, and old, but it had a heavy padlock on it. The real estate agent brushed it off, saying the previous owner used it for storage, and she didn't have the key. It wasn't a deal breaker for me, so I didn't think much of it. I figured I'd get the lock removed after I moved in and see what was inside. The first few weeks in the house were fine. I settled in, unpacked, and started to feel comfortable. But that door at the end of the hall kept nagging at me. I was curious, of course, but there was something else. It felt wrong. I can't explain it, but I found myself avoiding looking directly at it whenever I walked down the hall. I'd hurry past it at night, feeling this strange sense of unease, like someone was watching me. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I called a locksmith to come out and remove the padlock. He arrived the next day. A friendly guy in his 50s who joked about people locking away their skeletons in the closet. I laughed nervously, but when he finally cracked the lock and pushed the door open, my laughter died in my throat. The room was small, barely big enough to be a closet, but it was lined with mirrors. Every wall, including the ceiling, was covered in large, old, with tarnished frames. The floor was covered in dust, and there was nothing else in the room. No furniture, no signs that someone has used it for anything. Just the mirrors, reflecting each other endlessly. I didn't like the way I looked in those mirrors. It wasn't that they were dirty or distorted, though they were, but something about my reflection felt off. It's hard to describe, but it was like my reflection was just a split second behind my movements. Almost, but definitely there. I left the room quickly, telling myself I'd clean it out later and figure out what to do with it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those mirrors and how wrong they felt. Around 3 a.m., I heard something from down the hall. It was faint at first, just a soft tapping sound, like someone was lightly knocking on the door. I sat up in bed, listening intently, and then I heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized the sound was coming from the locked room. I wanted to ignore it, to convince myself it was just the house settling or some other innocent explanation. But I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I got out of bed, grabbed the baseball bat I kept in the closet, just in case, and slowly made my way down the hall. As I approached the door, the tapping stopped. I stood there, bat in hand, heart pounding in my chest, and then nothing. The house was silent. I almost turned around and went back to bed, but something made me reach out and touch the door handle. It was cold, unnaturally cold, like it had been sitting in a freezer. I pushed the door open, just a crack, and peered inside. At first, I didn't see anything unusual. The room was just as I left it, empty and lined with those damn mirrors. But then out of the corner of my eye, I saw movement, my reflection standing there in the mirror, closest to the door, was smiling at me. I wasn't smiling. I was terrified. But my reflection was, it was a cruel, twisted smile that sent a wave of nausea through me. I slammed the door shut and backed away. Feeling like I was going to be sick, I spent the rest of the night in the living room. Every light in the house turned on, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. I told myself it was just a trick of the light, my mind playing tricks on me, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. The next morning, I decided to lock the room up again. I bought a new padlock and secured the door, hoping that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. The tapping started again that night, louder this time, more insistent, and it hasn't stopped since. Every night I hear it. Tap, tap, tap. And every night, it gets harder to ignore. I can feel it wearing me down, the constant fear and anxiety eating away at me. I haven't slept in days. I'm afraid that if I do, I'll wake up to find that the thing in the mirror isn't just my reflection anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. Last night, I decided to face whatever was in that room. Maybe it was a bad idea. Maybe I'm just sleep deprived and losing my mind. But I couldn't live with the fear any longer. I needed to know what was happening. I waited until the tapping started. 3 a.m., right on the dot. I grabbed my bat, my phone, and the flashlight, then walked down the hall, my hand shaking so badly I almost dropped the flashlight. The tapping grew louder as I approached the door, echoing through the hall like someone was banging on the inside of the door, desperate to get out. When I reached the door, I hesitated for just a moment before unlocking it. The tapping stopped, the instant padlock clicked open. My heart was racing, every instinct screaming at me to turn around and run. But I couldn't. I had to know. I pushed the door open, and the room was exactly as I'd left it. Dusty, empty, lined with mirrors. But this time, something was different. My reflection was already there, standing in the center of the room, staring directly at me. But it wasn't just one reflection, it was all of them. Every mirror in the room showed me standing in the center, that same twisted smile on my face. Only it wasn't me smiling. I stepped into the room, my eyes fixed on the reflections. They didn't move with me this time. They stood still, smiling that horrible smile, even as I walked closer. I felt a cold dread settling into my bones, but I couldn't stop myself. I had to know what was happening. When I reached the center of the room, the reflections all turned to face me at once. It was like a wave of movement, every reflection turning their head in unison, their eyes locked on mine. And then, one by one, they started to step forward, out of the mirrors. I tried to back away, but my feet wouldn't move. It was like I was rooted to the spot. The reflections stepped closer, their movements slow and deliberate, their smiles widening until they didn't even look human anymore. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The first reflection reached me and placed his hand on my shoulder. It was cold, so cold it burned, and I felt my own smile start to twist and stretch, matching the one in the mirror. Then another reflection grabbed my other arm, and another, until they were all surrounding me, their hands pulling me closer to the mirrors. I felt myself being dragged forward, my face inches from the glass, and then nothing, just darkness. I woke up in my bed this morning, drenched in sweat. For a moment, I thought it had all been a nightmare, just a terrible, vivid dream. But then I noticed the dirt on my shoes, the dust on my clothes, and the new padlock on the door at the end of the hall. I don't know how I got back to my bed, but something tells me it wasn't by my own choice. The tapping hasn't started again yet, but I know it will. I can feel them watching me, waiting for the right moment to finish what they started. I don't think I have much time left. If you're reading this, please don't make the same mistake I did. If you ever find a locked room in an old house, leave it alone. Some doors should never be open. And if you hear a tapping at 3 a.m., don't answer it. I don't think I'll be able to write again. This is my last warning to you all. The mirrors, they're not just in that room anymore. They're everywhere. Every time I catch my reflection out the corner of my eye, I see them. They're coming for me. Don't let them take you, too.